Hey y'all, Eli here. Thanks all for being here. Um, Sorry I'm a little late for the stream today. I promised 8:45 my time, 10:45 Eastern, and it's a little later than that. But pretty much the topic for today, and I'm gonna go to big screen mode soon, is that we're talking about TCGPlayer Direct, and I'm considering leaving the program. And you may not know what TCGPlayer, sorry, is being a little finicky, is, but it's pretty much this program where you make sales through TCGPlayer, which is of course like the biggest platform for trading cards. And then after you make sales, they send you a document that says, "Hey, you owe us all these cards that just sold, and send us a reimbursement invoice." So that allows them to sell lots of cards at once. Um, because you can buy cards from different sellers, and every direct seller will just have to ship the cards back, and they can just take it from their stores of inventory. Um, this program has been billed as a really popular one because pretty much it's very difficult to become a part. Well, not very difficult, but there are high standards to become a part of this program, and because of that, there's like a vetting process, and people think that it's a big goal to get on TCGPlayer because you can get kicked out easily if you get poor reviews. A lot of people want to be a part of it, and they boast about how well the sales do, how the sales would go up, something like by 3 times if you would be on TCGPlayer, which of course is kind of colossal. That's pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and get through this as people start joining, and I want to chat about a few of the fee structures, the shipping costs, some orders that I did myself, and why I'm thinking about leaving TCGPlayer Direct, which once again doesn't really happen, but given the type of business I do in the way I acquire inventory, it seems like it might ultimately be the right way to go. So I put this here first, the worst case scenario, which is this was a photo put into one of the groups that we have online with direct sellers and pro sellers. And what you see here is that someone made negative $3.50, or about 300 cards. So it seems like on average she had cards listed for about 4 or 5 cents each. This was clearly bulk. And the way the fee structure works for TCGPlayer Direct is that everything under $3, the fee is just half of whatever you sell. So $1 if it's a $2 order. And you make half and you pay half. But for larger orders, there's a fee. It's something like 14% for the order itself, plus there's a shipping cost, which is supposed to like emulate how much you would pay to ship it normally. So instead of paying for your stamps or your first class postage or whatever, they bill you based off the number of cards. And so what happened here is that a guy sold like 300 cards for $14, I guess. So about 4 or 5 cents each. The fees ended up being $2.29. That was like the 14-cent fee, and then the program fee, which is like the shipping equivalent, ended up being $15. And so altogether, he made negative $3.50. He pretty much gave away money for people to take 300 cards, which is absolutely insane. It kind of talks about what the pros and the cons are of this program. For cheap cards, you may lose money, and so this is. Some of the comments in response to this in the Facebook group was, well, you shouldn't be pricing your cards for so little. You shouldn't have cards for 4 or 5 cents. But there's 2 problems with that statement. First off is that there are perverse incentives. Already on TCGPlayer, there are tons of cards that are listed for 4 or 5 cents. And so if you unilaterally decided not to oblige, which by sort of the market price or the lowest price, then people just aren't going to buy the cards because there are already other parties sort of filling that gap. So anyone that wants to sell bulk pretty much has to sell at this level, or they're not selling bulk. And second of all, bulk should be profitable. Our acquisition costs are so low that the fee should not be this large when we sell 300 cards. And as someone who has done some pretty big orders on my own, I've never lost money shipping. Maybe almost never. I've lost money shipping an order myself. Sometimes the margins are thinner because the shipping is expensive, but that's not normal. I'm sure you can hear behind me if you've got some cats. Sorry about that, guys. Hopefully they'll stop fighting soon, but they're fine. They're just playing. Anyway, I wanted to move on to the sort of fee structure. So on normal orders that aren't direct, it really depends on your fee. So on eBay, it's like 13% or whatever. On TCGPlayer, when you first start, it's something like maybe 11%. But then as you add in features like direct, or you add in TCGPlayer Pro, it pretty much adjusts and adds fees. So I think the Pro fees may be like 13%. And the direct fees, whatever, like 14%. As I talked about, there's also a program fee based off shipping. And then there's like a 30-cent credit card fee per transaction, which to me is actually kind of strange why they factor that into sales of direct, because the person that's buying the cards through direct is doing all the orders at once. So their credit card is only being run once. Whereas here, when you're running individually, it's 30 cents each. And also, like, why are transaction costs so high? I have Square. And when I run transactions through Square, it's maybe, I think, 10 cents as the initial transaction fee. And almost certainly in other aspects, they're even cheaper. So I don't understand why this fee is so large. And by the way, that comes into account when you have really small orders, because that is a significant amount on a $1 order. So the pros of TCGPlayer, number one is saving time. And this is huge because pretty much what would happen before is, let's say we'd have 20 or 30 orders will do. It just depends because not all your sales will go through direct. And you have to pack them all up in one day. You're time limited, over a 2-day window, you have to get it shipped out. There's all these factors. If I'm out of town, if I'm particularly busy at my day job, then it's really difficult to meet. Whereas with TCGPlayer Direct, one of the big benefits is that they only send you the reimbursement invoice to refill the cards after you have $300 or more, which for us can be anywhere from, say, 1 week to 2 weeks in orders. So we could sell 1,200 cards within, I don't know, like 100 orders, 200 orders, and really only once every week or two do we have to refill that and do it all at once. And so, yeah, that means that one night every week or two we're spending 4 hours packing cards, but that saves so much time on the other ends, and it's something that's not as urgent. We just know, hey, one Monday every week or so we're gonna have to fill our night doing this. Another benefit of direct is that generally you can price your cards higher than the market price. This isn't always the case, and sometimes it's just a little bit higher, but with more, especially cards on the higher end, like let's say a $50 card, you can usually get away with charging, say, $3 or so more through direct. And on cheaper cards, you could usually get away with 20 or 30 cents more. There are anomalies. Sometimes it's not the case. For example, Irida, the trainer card, which has been really popular in the meta, is like a $5 card right now. And at some point, I was like the only direct seller who had them, and so I was able to charge something like $7.50, whereas market price was $5 or $4.50. But that was an exception to the rule. I was really happy that time that I made that money, but that was exception of the rule. The other big advantage is that you're immune to negative feedback, and all the customer service happens through TCGPlayer, which is a pro and a con. I would say it's a con a little bit because one of the things Mason and I do when we send orders out is we frequently put in like stickers or a business card or something else, or a note if it's from someplace where you've lived in the past, which is supposed to be really nice. But obviously you don't do that if you go through TCGPlayer. Another benefit, though, to the system is that sometimes you'll get, like, you're not responsible for lost orders, right? If someone loses an order and it's a small one where we didn't put on tracking, we just have to eat the cost. If someone said that my $5 order didn't arrive, even if it's their fault, potentially because they lost it themselves, we have to refund them no matter what, which sucks. Usually, if it's something particularly egregious, I'll just ban the buyers, so I don't have to deal with them again. But this protects from that. And also, you're insured to have high feedback, which kind of pads your rating, which is nice. But yeah, so that's a positive development. Honestly, I think that customer service is overrated in terms of difficulty. I think on the whole, dealing with customers is not a problem. I think that 95% of people we deal with are not an issue in the sense that, like, they're nice, courteous, they're probably not lying, they're understanding. We've had situations where cards arrived late, and only a small proportion, I'd say 10% of people, where we had an issue with the cards, we're particularly unfair about it, or wouldn't take a remedy if whatever, our partial refund or whatever. It's only very rarely that someone is very difficult. So I think maybe the benefits are a little overrated, but the fact that TCGPlayer handles all of that is a benefit. So those are the main pros in terms of the Direct. The cons is that number one, the fees are high, especially if you deal in bulk and your fees are consistently 50%. Plus, you still have to ship the cards to them in your reimbursement invoice. It's probably closer to 53-54% of fees that you're paying, which is huge. That's just like not a sustainable business model unless you're able to source cards wildly cheap. And so I'll show you some examples of that where I think maybe for someone like me, it might be better to get out of Direct, but we'll talk about that in a second. And then the second thing is these inconsistent returns. And so what happens is whenever you send out this reimbursement invoice, let's say we send out 1,000 cards to them, they're going to go through and make sure that all the cards match the condition that we said they would be. In the first 3 times we sent reimbursement invoices, we didn't have an issue. We literally had maybe between the, total 2,500 cards we sent, we had maybe, 20 returned. We had maybe a 1% return rate. But the last time, which was like our 4th reimbursement invoice, it was much larger. They returned out of 700 cards, they returned about like 160 of them, which is ridiculous. That is not fair. And I'll just show you some of the examples of what went wrong. So, for example, look at this Diglett, right? We ranked this Diglett as moderately played. The reason it was ranked moderately played is because there's whitening on the back, but there's nothing significant. There's not like a huge scratch. It looks fine, right? Moderately played, I think it's a fair grade. Maybe highly played, right? They sent it back to us as damaged. This is not a damaged card. We had a bunch of cards like that were just sent back, which look good. This is a near mint card. We sent off a near mint card, and it came back either lightly played or moderately played. This time, it was crazy. This is the first time this has happened to us in our 4 times. And so that obviously builds into your margin, because out of the $300 of product we sent out, we had $50 rejected, which sucks. We have to relist it, we have to recondition it, and all that. And the thing is, most of these cards would be accepted by a buyer, no problem. Let me tell you, before we entered Direct, we had, $1,200 orders that we had personally fulfilled. And literally, out of everyone, we've only ever had, I want to say, 2 condition issues. We had maybe 2 other times where something had an issue in transit, so like a card was bent while it was being shipped. That doesn't really count. But there were literally only 2 cheap cards that anyone complained, like, hey, this wasn't your mint, it was another condition. We just issued a refund and moved on. And I think there are 2 reasons. First off, the cards we sent out are actually near mint, and whoever was doing the intake that day at TCGPlayer just didn't know what the fuck they were doing. Number 2 is that sorry, I just want to check the stream is working. Let's see. I'm gonna turn on my phone and see if the voice is working out. Yep, it is. Okay, sorry about that. The second big thing is that people don't care if, generally, not always, and you'll always hear horror stories, if you mail out a card that is bulk and it is 7 cents and it is lightly played instead of near mint, people don't care, okay? And I know it's like an unpopular opinion or whatever, because we get so much feedback once in a while where people are crazy, but the thing is, out of those 1,000 orders, I had to refund 2 people for cheap cards that were not the right condition. But on the whole, if you're a customer and you receive a card that is worth less than 10 cents and it is not in near mint condition, even though you ordered one, most people are not going to care enough. Whereas TCGPlayer here this last time sent me back 150 cards, which is ludicrous. And that's one of the big reasons too that kind of spurred me to think about whether this program is right for me. So I want to talk about shipping. So when I ship without Direct, we get 99 cents automatically from a buyer if the order is less than $5. On order above $5, there's free shipping, so we pay for it ourselves. So I want to talk a little bit about how we use these fees. So imagine we have 99 cents, so 30 cents automatically goes to the credit card fee, so that's 69 cents left. Then usually around average 42 cents for a stamp. Now people usually ask like, oh, how do you get stamps that cheap? Well, we usually buy in bulk on eBay where you can find them for cheaper. I've had success getting rolls of 100 stamps for between $38 and $43. So I'd say 42 cents for a stamp. So that leaves you with 27 cents left. Then we buy pretty much all our materials in bulk, the envelopes, the sleeves, the card savers. I'd say another 7 cents is spent on that. So that's 20 cents left. And then maybe 3 cents for the label and the envelope, which means when we're done, we have 17 cents left out of the 99 cents that people originally paid, which is pretty good because that means that if we put on an extra ounce, because if you're over an ounce, you need another 24 cents, then we're only minus 4 cents overall out of the original 99 cents we got paid for shipping, which is pretty good. And one of the things that people, I guess, don't talk about is that maybe you and I don't order this way, but the vast majority of orders made of bulk, you'd be surprised, are orders of just like a few cards. I'd say 90% of the orders of bulk that we get are one stamp orders. So they have 8 or fewer cards, which is kind of surprising because if someone's paying $1 for cards, you kind of be surprised why they pay another $1 for shipping. But that's one of the things that I don't think is talked about enough. So in the vast majority of times, 90% of the times when we're shipping ourselves, that 17 cents left over goes into the margin. So if you think about that we sold a card for 50 cents, that's an extra 17-cent margin, which is significant percentage-wise. Although, of course, that means you have to ship it yourself, whereas you save the shipping on direct because they do it for you. I also want to talk a little bit about my buy rates before we get into these orders, because I excerpted like 30 orders for us to look through, because you should know what my basis is when I pick stuff up. So I usually pay a cent for commons and uncommons, although recently I've been selling off my extras, and so in reality I think I'm paying a little less than that, actually. But about a cent for common and uncommon, 4 cents for hollows and reverse hollows, 33 cents for a V, 66 cents for a VMAX, 40 cents for Trainer Gallery Shinies Radiance, 80 cents for V-Star, and on cards worth over $5, I usually do between 50 and 60% market. So keep that in mind as we look at how much we get back. My overall takeaways is that on bulk, and especially orders under $5, the fee is so huge on direct compared to like shipping out yourself that I don't know in the time. I haven't calculated yet how much time direct saves, but I think the fees are significant. And if time were only a little bit more, if it only took a little longer to use to ship yourself versus direct, it seems like it's an easy decision for me. Especially cheap ultra rares, the margins are terrible, and you'll see some of these, but I pay, for example, 33 cents for a V. Lots of Vs sell for 70 and 80 cents, right? So if you're losing half that margin automatically through the direct fee, then you're making nothing, right? If I sell a card for 80 cents, 40 cents goes to fees, I make 7 cents total on that card, which is wild, right? So it's really, I think, terrible between on the cards that are below $5, but they're ultra rare, so you're not paying nothing to acquire them. Also, one thing to keep in mind is that if you make 30 cents more on a cheap order, and the order is only $2, that's significant. That's a 10% extra margin versus direct. And the big thing, if you remember, is that on orders under $5, if you're doing it right, are getting 17 cents of net automatically. So whereas TCGPlayer will take off half your margin, you're already coming in net 17 cents positive if you're shipping cheaply. Hey TCG Ball Kings, thanks for swinging by. I'd be really interested to hear what you think about some of the stuff I'm talking about, because I know that you've, it seems like, enjoyed direct so far, but yeah, I think differently. So I don't know how much you've seen so far, but I think that I'm thinking about leaving. And it's very possible you'll lose money on direct, whereas that's almost never going to happen shipping yourself. Yeah, there are going to be times where your shipping costs are high when you're shipping on your own, but with direct, there are literally times when people are losing money because of the way their fee structure works. And the other thing is that people complain about the big orders, which suck sometimes. The margins are lower, but really I think the strategy should be based on the fact that 90% of my bulk orders, at least, I don't know what you think, TCG Bulk Kings, at least 90% of the orders for me are cards that are 8 or less, so they can fit within a 1 stamp envelope. So I'm going to give you some examples of direct and then compare it to some examples of non-direct, just so you can see like the considerations going through my head at the time. So this order went through direct. I sold 2 Beedrill. So the fees were 15 cents. I paid 4 cents each for each of the reverse hollows, which means I made 7 cents on that order. It would probably take me about, pulling it out of direct, I think maybe, 3 or 4 seconds to pull out 2 cards of those together. So 4 seconds for 8 cents. I think that's a pretty good rate for this one anyway. So this, I think, a win of direct. Now this is a bigger order. As you can see, there are I don't know, like 12 cards in here, and the overall order is $3.20. So the fees amount was 77 cents, and the direct program fee was $1.41, which means, look at this, altogether what the fees were. Out of a $3.20 order, I made $1.02. So here the fees were 70%. 70% fees on this order. It's kind of insane. Orders like these are what make me think about leaving, because I would have made, if this order was made with me personally, I would have had $4.20 because of the 99 cents for shipping. I would have maybe, the fee would have been like 80 cents, so it would be down to, I don't know, like $3.40, and then I would spend $1 shipping with 2 stamps, so it'd be $2.40. So I would net an extra $1.40 if I had shipped this personally, as opposed to going through direct. And once again, TCG Ball Kings, I'm really curious to hear your analysis as I'm going through this. Now look at this trainer gallery, right? I pay 40 cents to acquire trainer galleries, which means that I made 7 cents on this order. I paid 40 cents, I'm going to get 47 cents back as the net amount. If I'd sold this personally, I would have had a fee of, about 10 cents, 12 cents. I would have netted 17 cents on the shipping, like I talked about earlier. And so I would have made total probably around 50 cents on the card, as opposed to 7 cents on the card. So it's, once again, a huge win. And these are, I think, the biggest impacts are going to be where you see these ultra rares, right? I'm paying 30, 40 cents to acquire. Definitely the margin is significantly better. It'd be interesting, if you have any comments, but also, having maybe a response video or something, I'd be really curious generally to hear what your analysis of this, because I am conflicted, as you've been hearing. Now, here's another order. This was 3 ultra rare cards. They're all Vs, so I paid $1.30 or so to acquire it. So I paid about $1.30 to acquire it. My net amount is $1.07. I lost money on this order. I lost 25 cents on this order, plus the amount that I ship it to them or whatever. So if I had sold this personally, I would have made $2.14, $3.14, 70. I would have made like $2.50 instead of $1.07. So I would have made $1 in profit as opposed to losing 25 cents. Now this is a bigger order. I think that direct makes the most sense for people who sell a lot of more like $5 and over cards, because this isn't that bad. $13.40. If I had sold through without them, the fee would have been like $2.20. Selling with them, I only pay, say, 30 cents more for shipping than I would otherwise pay, but it's also tracked. So there's no risk that you're going to lose this in the mail. So for a card like this, for $5 and more cards, the fact that you're not risking losing a card, in the fact that fees are almost only a little higher than you would if you shipped them yourself, this is a win. This is what I feel like would be the best value for TCGPlayer Direct. And if all the cards I sold were like this is what I would do. So here's another V card. These Vs are a little more lucrative. They're not 80-cent V cards. They're total of $3.50. So it came out positive either way here, because if I had shipped it myself, I would have made $3.50, $4.50. I would have made about $3.50 net in overall, and I paid 66 cents to acquire both these cards. With Direct, I made maybe 75 cents, so that it's lower, but at least this one is still profitable, because at $2 a card, when I'm paying 33 cents to acquire, even when you're paying 50% fees, you're still making a profit, though smaller. And also you got to think about how long it takes you to actually mail and ship this. One of the biggest benefits that people talk about with Direct is that it saves you all this time. And I totally understand this when you have large orders of, say, 100 cards. It's kind of a pain in the ass to put that together and not just pick out the cards, but actually ship them in an affordable way, because you have to make them compact, you have to organize them, you have to load them in the card savers, and do all that, which takes time. But for small orders like these, which, as I said, is the majority of of bulk orders, I feel like it's very quick to do this. So TCG King says the fees for direct are a bit higher in orders 250 to 5, higher or lower than that range. Fees work out better. Yeah, that is true. So I think because of the way the program fee works, and I think I do have an order in here that's like that. So we'll see. The fees are higher. You're right. I think especially between $3 and $3.30 or so, because you get double fee, both the fee for the sale and the fee for the shipping. So this is an 8-cent card, a reverse holo. I paid 4 cents to acquire this because that's my rate. I made 4 cents back minus fees. So this is zero, nothing on this order. And then the real question I have that comes up when you have an order like this is, should you even list it? I think 4 cents is kind of terrific in terms of acquiring, because most cards are worth more than that. 8 cents is kind of low for a reverse holo. But when you've got a situation like this, my solution isn't, I'm going to stop acquiring it, but it's like, do I just put all the reverse holo purloins in a box and just wait 5 years? I don't know, because clearly it's like, why did I even list this card? TCG Kings replied saying that these are the best right here. But also, he's right that direct increases the number of orders, even when even if the cards themselves are not going to be sold through the direct because they're bumped up, and that's 100% true. Our orders definitely increased. I don't know, and this is the conversation I have with Mesa especially, is that I think the fees are terrible and they eat them up. But every 2 weeks we'll send off 1,000 cards and get $300 back or whatever, and these cards are cards that maybe I wouldn't have actually sold at that time because direct triples your number of sales. And so the way to think about it is is this just additional, I made all these sales and then direct gets me an extra $300 and we spend hours collecting them, or is it substituting? And I think that's a big question, because I think it is very possible that most of the direct sales are extra, in which case you're not necessarily losing the same sort of money because it is additional movement. And yeah, maybe you made 80% on this set of orders, but on this set of orders that you wouldn't have gotten anyway, you only keep 50% or whatever. And thinking about it that way, maybe just as additive, it's not as bad in your brain. But then, of course, it still creates extra work on the back end, because if I sold 1,000 cards that I would have otherwise waited longer to sell, or would have been sold at a later date, essentially I still have to acquire the new inventory and I have to resort it and relist it. So yeah, it's not just solely extra money or extra sales, because it still requires me to acquire extra inventory and list it to make up for what was sold through the program. So this is where I'm conflicted, because yeah, I get $100, $200, $300, whatever for these extra cards, but it's not, the work isn't just pulling them out. It's obviously resorting and re-putting it back in. And when the margins are so low, it's interesting to think if it's worth it, because I feel on non-direct orders, our average rate of return is probably $25 to $30 an hour. Plus, there's a huge benefit that you can watch a movie or listen to podcasts or whatever while you're pulling them out and sorting. So it's not like you're just 100% working on this. You can distract yourself with other things and preoccupy. And I feel like when I do general bulk, yeah, $25 to $30 an hour when I'm being quick. But I think it's definitely, even though there's a huge time savings from sending all the cards at once, I'm not so sure that on an hourly basis it actually matches personal sales. So I don't know. So here's another direct sale. This one was a $5 sale. So I made $244, so it's a little over 50%. These were all holos, so it means that for the 9, 14, 18, 20, 22, 24. So the 24 cards here, I paid around 96 cents. And I netted $244. So this was a profitable deal. I made about $1.50. That's I tripled my investment. And this is, I think, one of those places where maybe I wouldn't have made as much if I had shipped it personally. Because if I had shipped it personally with a $5.04 order, I wouldn't have gotten the 99 cents for shipping. So I would have paid that on my own. With 24 cards, I would have to put on pretty much $1.30 worth of shipping of stamps. So if you add that up, if I had 504 minus fee minus the stamps, I think this is actually one of the few cases where I netted more from direct than had I sold it myself, which is kind of interesting. So here's another kind of more expensive order. This one was 1704, spread across some staples. As you see, both Battle VIP Pass and Trekking Shoes are like regular staples, so they always sell quick and they sell well. Because these are all, almost all non-hollow cards, I paid a penny each to acquire those. So in total, I think my acquisition fees here were 5, 7, 8, 12, 16. So I paid 16 cents to acquire these cards, which is kind of crazy. And so this is probably the most profitable order I've had in this PowerPoint. I literally made almost that entire amount of money was profit, because I only paid whatever 16 cents to acquire these cards. Oh, sorry, I didn't count. There's a Drapion V in there. So sorry, I paid like 50 cents to acquire these cards. So this was really excellent. If I'd shipped them myself, I would have probably netted a similar amount. So this is another, I think, and also I actually could price higher with direct, especially on these staples, because they sell for more. I think, for example, the Battle VIP Pass is maybe $2.89 off direct and $3.19 on direct. So we also were able to price them higher. So this is a success story for direct. Another one, which is like more expensive cards, sold a lot of them in one order. Here's another Battle VIP Pass. This one's margin was a little lower because we had to pay that direct program fee. I think that I would have maybe made a bit more money if I'd shipped this myself, but still, it's generally like pure profit here. I paid 3 cents for the card itself, for the cards themselves, so my investment I'm getting all back. So yeah, also TCG Ball King says that for him, he feels like his sorting and listing process takes maybe 10 cents per card or 15 cents total going through direct. I think that's probably true in terms of the rate that we're going at too. I just don't know how much it would add to go, because I think if I shipped a card myself, assuming that an average order has 4 cards, putting it in an envelope, after picking them out, I think the amount of time it would add to put it in an envelope takes, gosh, maybe 10 seconds. Because I would put them, because they're already in sleeves the ones that need to be. If not, I put them one in a sleeve together, and then I put them in the penny saver, in the envelope. I already have the labels printed out, which I guess takes time too, and then so yeah, I would guess that it probably comes out to maybe 12 to 15 cents per envelope, which split between 4 cards is about 4 cents a card to pack, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I think that oh gosh, I don't sort 1,000 cards fast enough. So TCG Ball King says 1,000 cards takes him about an hour. It definitely takes us longer. I think it probably takes us, gosh, Mesa, how long do you think it takes us to do direct fulfillment? I think we could probably do, what, 300 cards? So, like, if we had a $500 card direct, I think it would take me, like, an hour and a half.
It would take me, like, 2.5 hours.
Yeah, Mesa's faster, sorry, Mesa's my partner who helps. Mesa's faster at sorting in and slower than me, and she's slower at pulling out.
Don't forget to say how they don't let you sleeve the cards, which I hate.
Oh yeah, Mesa, it really bothers Mesa that when you ship to direct, if it's a card worth under like $20, they ask that you don't sleeve the cards, which kills Mesa because she's like, they're gonna get scratched on their way. It does bother me when the card's more expensive. I still sleeve. I'm a rebel. I'm still sleeving like $7 and $8 cards because I'm like, I know you're gonna return cards to me, and this is not gonna be the reason for that. So I still sleeve those more expensive cards, but yeah, it really bothers me. So there's a lot of hollows that normally when we ship personally we'll sleeve that obviously are not getting sleeved sending to direct. Yeah, I think TCG we're slower than you in terms of pulling out. I think that it takes me maybe, gosh, an hour and a half to pull 500 cards. Actually, maybe less. Nah, I don't know. I have to. I should time myself. But yeah, I'm sure we'll get faster as we go. We've only been at this for a few months and direct only for I think about 2 months. So we'll get quicker. It'd be really interesting to hear, Bulk Kings, how you do, how you sort in the first place and how it's separated. Because for now, we've got our hollows and reverse hollows sorted like right next to, like right behind the uncommons, but with the way direct and now our little orders list out, you ship one first, the hollows first, and then you ship the non-hollows or whatever the other way around. And so I didn't know for you whether you sort those separately in different boxes or together. All right, so here's another order. So Delphox, V, and Cosmo. All the prices here for the Vs, I think, were market price. So that's the market price currently. This is another order I lost money on because I spent 33 cents on the Delphox V, 4 cents on the Cosmo, which is 37 cents total, and my net amount was 29 cents. So we lost money on this order. Once again, you start raising the question like, should that Delphox V ever have been listed in the first place? And if so, I wish there was like a system in TCGPlayer where I could just like root out all the cards, all the V cards specifically, that are under whatever 70 cents. Which is unfortunate because I would make a profit if I shipped it personally. If this order was shipped personally, it would have been about 75 cents net in revenue, and so there would have been a profit. Here's another Battle VIP Pass order. This one kind of pissed me off because Battle V passes are very lucrative usually. They only bought one here. So I was left with $1.35 out of $3.19, which is what, 70% fee. And if I had sold this one myself, I would have netted $3.50. So I would have made significantly more. Here's a Lost Origins Trainer Gallery. This one's a $4.69. I netted about a little more than half here in fees. If I'd sold this one myself, I would have made about $5 on that. So this one was a huge impact. I would have made almost double, I think, selling myself and shipping it myself. So these are all the factors I'm considering. I don't know. If I were as fast maybe playing out direct as TCG Kings, I'd be more strongly in favor because it's not a huge time sink. But in this way, you know, I don't know. Also, there's a part of unfairness. Maybe this is just my inner drive, where I'm not just looking past, like, oh, here's the money I make. I'm like, but they made more. Erg. So it's like if TCG Direct on an order like this makes half the money out of the stuff that I source and the stuff I put together and ship to them, and all they had to do was be this middleman, like, it kind of frustrates me. Of course, middlemen deserve their fees, and middlemen run a service, and they reach a broad market. You're going to make a ton of sales going through this than through, you know, your own Facebook page. But, it definitely rubs me the wrong way when the fees are so large. And not just that, but the big thing, and I think I'm going to make another video about this, is there's a huge, like, bargaining power in equity, right? TCGPlayer tomorrow could raise fees, and none of us would hop off the platform, really, because, you know, we depend on it so highly. And so every so often, TCGPlayer will raise the program fee, which is pretty much the amount they spend on shipping. And what are we going to do? It's not like we're going to pull out, you know, so we're going to keep using it. And so there's definitely this power imbalance. And so when you've got structures like these where the fees are so large, it makes me really, makes me consider, well, I'm going to use my power to get off, because these fees are so high that if we did like a boycott, which of course would require some sort of unionization, it's not like everyone would comply, but if we all complied, you know, getting off direct, they would have to raise their fees, but that's not really the way that works. Here's another Radiant Gardevoir. This was profitable. I paid 40 cents each, so I made about a 30-cent profit on the whole order. Had I shipped it myself, I would have made like 70 cents per card, so about $2. These are the ones, as I said, the ultra rares, where I think there's this biggest difference. These mid-range cards between the two types of selling systems. Here's Trekking Shoes, which is another staple, always does really well. I'm not as angry about these because it cost me almost nothing to acquire Trekking Shoes, you know, a penny a piece. So, it's all profit regardless. Here's Lieutenant Sturgis Raichu. This is, did I move into regular ones? Oh, this is no longer direct. So TCG King says, if they raise fees, I would not be able to sell through them, or I would have to raise prices. My average ticket transaction cost is 12 cents. Yeah, I mean, that's a thing. So I feel like, and I think some other people talked about this way, they have raised fees the highest they could possibly go without, like, a mass exodus on the platform. I feel like they're pushing it. I would presume that they actually test their fees or have other markets where they test fees experimentally. And like, there's some point like where you cross the Rubicon and people stop selling on your platform. And I think they have it down because for a lot of people, this is like manageable on the bulk. But if they went up just even a little bit, especially when the margins are so low in terms of actual magnitude for cards, when you're making 4 cents versus at a card, the margins are so low that if they raise fees, it would be wild. Like, look at the fee, the fees here for the program fee, right? If the direct program fee through them ended up being $1.15 instead of $1.09, that would significantly eat into people's margins and profits. So yeah, this is one where I had to pay for shipping myself. So I probably made about $3.80 on this order. This is probably as big as a fee would get, right over the $5 mark where people get free shipping. Because if you calculate it, I think if I netted like $3.70 on this order, that still would have been close to 40% fees on this order, which would be significant and almost as large as it would be on direct. So here's some bulk I sold myself. This is the maximum I could fit in one envelope, 8 cards. So I still paid sort of whatever it was, 70 cents for shipping. So it's left over with $1.70 out of $2.20. It's about a 25-cent fee here, which is of course less than the 50% through direct. And these are uncommon, so it was almost pure profit on those. This is a large order I did myself. This is, I think, where we're starting to bump up against maybe unprofitability. 5, 9, 11, I'm counting these cards, 15, 18, 26, 29, 31, 35, 39, 41, 45. So this is a 50 card order. I think shipping in a flat envelope, I probably had to pay $3, maybe not $3, probably around $2.40 to ship this, which, as you can see, is a significant expense. But also direct would have charged me through their program fee big time. So here I think I made about $2 is my guess, which is still profitable on my end. But this is the sort of thing, once again, I think the orders right over $5 are where there's most competitiveness between direct and mailing yourself in terms of fees. And of course the more expensive cards as well. What was this? This is my code cards. Which I didn't have to ship, so that's kind of pure profit. Let's see, Ricardo says, I don't know anything about bulk. I have 4K just in Pokemon, so I have 150 packs of Dragon Ball. Well, I've talked in the past about selling bulk live videos, so to see sheep bulking, so I'd recommend you check those out. But it definitely only makes sense. I'm a believer that selling bulk only makes sense at scale. So if you don't have thousands and thousands of cards, I think it's better to honestly just sell it to someone as bulk and take the lump sum, whatever they give you, because this really only becomes profitable at the margins, especially if you're shipping the cards yourself once you get your shipping fees down. If I get paid, for me right now, I make 17 cents on every 99-cent shipping order because I have surplus, because I get my materials so cheap, and it just doesn't make sense, and it's impossible to ship so cheaply if you have a smaller inventory. So here's another one. I made $1.79 on this. I probably paid, as I said, like 70 cents for shipping. I made about $1. I paid 33 cents. So this was, I made 2 times back. So if I paid 33 cents back and made $1, that's a huge margin. If this had been through direct, I would have made 77 cents in net. So this is about, it would have been double the margin instead of triple. And sorry for all the numbers, but I really wanted to get out this thought process, and I don't know if anyone will end up watching this video in the future and have their thoughts, but I'm just trying to talk through, for my own sake and for others' sake, if this program is worth it. So this one was both V's and Boss's orders. I paid about, I made $0 on the Hisuian Zoroark Spear. Oh, wait, just kidding. This isn't a V. This is regular hollow. So these are all hollows. I paid 24 cents to acquire these. I made $4.30 on net. minus shipping, so I made maybe $370. This was a terrific acquisition for me. Once again, though, these are staples. In bulk that aren't staples, like this Boss's orders, you're bound to get less, of course. Senna Scorch, which I'd priced at 29 cents, that I acquired for 4 cents. This was, I think these sorts of orders are also way worse through direct, because if I sold this through direct, I would have made about 58 cents on net. And here I'm able to make about 80 cents on net, which doesn't sound a lot more. That's only 30 cents for the order. But if you imagine that this product itself cost me 16 cents to acquire, that's the difference between a 3 times margin and like a 6 times margin, right? So it's really at the margins. Now, margins don't mean everything, right? If I spent $10 on product and I sold it for 20, that's 100% margin. But if it took me an hour to do that, obviously the margin doesn't matter. Even if I made a lot of money on the margin, it's more about the labor. So it's not all about margin necessarily. But in an order like this, I could make 80 cents. It literally costs me probably it takes like 15 cents to pull out and sort. That's a terrific deal. I mean, that's sort of a $70 an hour rate on that. So next, Capacious Bucket. This is another staple. Great net here. And what you're going to see with all these cards, especially at these levels, is that it's just significantly more, say 50 cents more in net shipping myself versus through direct. Pokemon Go Lapras. That was a refund. That's why the fee is smaller, I think. Lucky Egg. So these are just more of the same in terms of, I think that's all I had. Yeah, more of the same. So anyway, that was my sort of presentation on Direct and my considerations, the pros and the cons. I would love to hear feedback from not just the viewers now, but if anyone watches this in the future about what their own thoughts are on it, if other people are direct sellers, especially in bulk, because I find direct to be convincing on cards $5 and over. But when the orders are less than that, I am just very split, especially when the vast majority of my sales are bulk. I don't know. I am considering switching back. So, yeah, I'll let you guys know. So thanks again all for watching. I really appreciate being there. TCG Ball Kings, I'll read your last comment here and then head out. Occasionally I'll make a bit less on specific order, but the scaled bulk transactions far outweigh the lower profit. That's of course true, right? If you lose on 10% of orders, but on net you have 10 times as many orders as before, even if the margins are lower on both sides, you're just going to net a lot more money, especially if it takes up less time, as you mentioned. I'm just not sure how much time it actually saves for me, and that's really what I'm dealing with, because if I can make $300 shipping myself or $200 through direct, and it only, it takes me an extra hour to do one versus the other, that's like $100 profit, right? For that extra hours saved. So I don't know. Still thinking through it. Thanks all again for watching. I'm going to get going. Stay tuned. I'm going to continue producing content, mostly I think through live streams so that they're helpful. Have a great one.